My name is Elaine Torres. I'm 35 years old. And I want to tell you about the specific psychology of being the good one in a family that has a bad one. It sounds like the better position. It sounds like an advantage. You are the one who got praised, the one who brought pride, the one who didn't cause the problems. You should be grateful, right? You should be relieved. What nobody tells you about being the good one is that it is a role with a job description. And the job description is, be so reliably good that the family's resources, attention, and emotional bandwidth can be directed toward the bad one without anyone having to worry about you. The good one is not the favorite. The good one is the one who makes the favoritism possible. I grew up in San Antonio with my parents, Rosario and Luis Torres, and my brother Rafael, 4 years younger than me, who had from the time he was a teenager a remarkable talent for crisis. Drug use starting at 16. A first arrest at 17. A pattern of behavior across his 20s that required my parents to spend the majority of their emotional, financial, and practical energy managing the consequences. I was the good one. Good grades. College. Job. Bills paid. Sunday calls. Holidays home. I was the child my parents talked about at church when people asked how their kids were doing. And for many years I believed this was enough. I believed being the good one was a reciprocal arrangement. I provide no problems, you provide baseline support and acknowledgement. What I discovered, slowly and then all at once, was that the arrangement only ran in one direction. I called my mother because I had just been diagnosed with a condition requiring surgery. Not life-threatening, but significant. My mother answered while driving. I told her my news. She said, "Oh, Mija, that's scary. Listen, I'm on my way to Rafael's. He's having some kind of problem with his landlord. You know how these things go. Can I call you back?" I said, "Sure, Mom." She called back 3 days later. In those 3 days, I had told my friends, arranged my work coverage, researched the procedure, consulted with a second doctor, and come to emotional peace with what was happening. Not because I was impressively resilient but because I had spent my whole life learning to handle things without waiting for my family to show up, because my family was perpetually occupied with Rafael. By the time my mother called back, I had already done the thing people call their families for. She asked if I needed anything. I said, "I've got it handled, Mom." She said, "You're so strong, Elaine. You've always been so strong." The "you've always been so strong" sentence was the most perfectly designed trap I had ever lived inside. I was strong because I had handled things alone. I handled things alone because my family was occupied. My family was occupied because I was strong and therefore didn't need them. Round and round, and at the center of the circle, my strength was the justification for my own abandonment. If you are the good one, has anyone ever praised your strength in a context where the alternative to being strong was having support you weren't given? Does the praise ever land hollow, like something offered in lieu of the real thing? If so, you know what I mean. The dynamic had a specific cruelty I only understood in retrospect. Rafael's failures were dramatic and visible and therefore legible as need. My needs, because I expressed them quietly or not at all, were invisible. And invisible needs do not generate the same response as dramatic ones. I had accidentally trained my family to respond to his volume rather than my presence. The shift began when I stopped being good in the family's specific definition. Good meant not asking. Not needing. Being fine when asked and meaning it, or at least performing it convincingly. Meant being the counterweight to Rafael's chaos. I decided to need out loud. When my surgery was scheduled, I called my parents and told them I needed someone to take me and bring me home and stay with me the first night. This was not a preference or a hope. I said, I need this from you. I have needed things from you for a long time and I have not asked for them. I am asking now. My mother said of course. My father said he'd be there. And here is the strange part, they came. They came because I asked clearly. My father sat in the waiting room for 4 hours reading a magazine and being where I needed him. My mother stayed the first night and made the chicken soup she makes when anyone in our family is ill and left me a note. I'm sorry I haven't been here more. Love you. That note. I kept it. I had a long conversation with my parents about Raphael. About the pattern. About what the pattern had cost me in specific terms. I did not say, choose me over him. I said, I need you to understand that choosing him constantly, without acknowledgement of what that costs me, is a choice with consequences for your relationship with me too. My father came back to me 2 weeks later and said, I've been thinking about what you said. About Raphael and you. I think you're right that we handled it wrong. I don't know if we could have done it differently when it was happening, because your brother needed so much and you seemed so fine. But I understand now that seeming fine isn't the same as being fine. I don't know how long he'd been sitting with that before saying it. But he said it, and meant it, and it was the most perceptive thing my father had said to me in 15 years of adult conversation. Raphael, at 31, is in a more stable place. He got help. Got sober. Is working and paying his own bills. He called me once, out of the blue, and said, I know you got less because I needed more. I'm sorry about that. He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. I thanked him for saying it. My relationship with my parents is different now, not fixed, not fully equal, but different. I ask for things when I need them. I let the need be visible. I don't perform strength as a way of making myself low maintenance. And when my mother says you're so strong, Elaine, I sometimes say, yes, I am. I'd also like some help. The first time I said that, she laughed. The second time, she said okay. By the third time, it had become a small grammar between us, a new sentence I'd taught into existence. I am 35. My surgery scar has faded to a thin silver line I run my fingers over sometimes when thinking. My family and I have not become something we were not. But we have become more honest versions of what we always were. And I am no longer good in the way that requires me to need nothing. I am good in the way that includes needing, and asking, and receiving. That is a better kind of good. It took me 35 years to find it. If you are the good one, you do not have to earn your place. You do not have to offset the difficult one. You do not have to be self-sufficient as a condition of being loved. Ask for what you need. Out loud. Without apology. The people who love you are often more capable of showing up than you've allowed them to demonstrate. Let them show you. Let them practice. Let yourself be the one who needs something, just this once. You've been strong long enough.